Nina Capone, respect the hustle. You already know. And we are here today with a special guest. You already know. He here to work on my intelligence. Yeah, he here to play with me. But here we are. We got the wonderful Mr. Will Latif. Little, right? I don't want to mess nothing up. But here we are. So we ain't gonna take a whole bunch of time. I like wasting time. We can go all day. Some of these interviews last 2 hours, but we're gonna try to keep it short today. So, first of all, welcome to the Respect the Hustle.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, look, my pleasure. Thanks for coming. You are like the man, okay, when it comes down to just being out there helping people, giving back to the community, helping people with their behaviors when it comes down to emotional intelligence and everything else. But you also have an amazing history that brought you to this. So first, I want to first have you introduce yourself,
Okay.
and then just kind of tell us who you are. Who's Will? We're just gonna say Will. Y'all can call him Will for short right now, but let's jump right in.
Okay, great. So, grew up in Philadelphia. I was born in North Carolina, though.
Okay.
I grew up in
Okay.
Philadelphia. My mom moved here after her and my father were separated
Okay.
from domestic violence situations.
Interesting.
And I grew up in South Philadelphia, 6 months old. Then kind of like moved all around the city of Philadelphia. Didn't have a stable home. My mom was trying to hustle to take care of, 5 children, well, 4 children at
Oh
the time.
wow.
And we
Wow.
had another little sister here, so now she had 4 girls and 1 boy.
Mm.
So just growing up in that kind of environment, um, trying to figure out who I was, find myself,
You had
identify.
4 sisters?
Yeah,
Woo.
yeah. So I was in the house with all women.
Wow.
Mom, my aunt, who we consider our grandmother
Hmm.
because our great grandmother um, was killed in a car accident.
Oh, sorry to hear
Her,
that.
my mom was in together, but my grandma, my aunt, when she was much older than my mother, so she was able to take care of her.
Okay.
Then when I came into the world, I just knew her as my grandma
Right, right,
until I
right.
found out the story.
Right, right.
So
Hmm.
we moved all around. Eventually went back to South Philadelphia, so I was moving from mom house to my grandma house,
Hmm.
so I can get away from the girls a little bit, which was really better too,
Right, right.
because I got more.
Of course, of course. You the only boy.
right. So starting off there, just trying to figure out who I was, trying to understand what it is to be a man.
Right,
Even though my mom had boyfriends, I never looked at them as my father, no
right,
kind of
right,
way,
right.
or an image that I wanted to look up to or emulate in any kind of way either.
Absolutely.
So my mom, she was definitely like drinking. She was a drinker, so her boyfriends drink too as well. So it's something that I just really didn't click to. And I was mostly an introvert at home when I was younger. So
Okay.
I paid attention to a lot of things. I watched a lot of things. I didn't
Hmm.
say anything about anything I was dealing with, any of my
Right.
dilemmas or
You
fears.
suppressed a lot of
Yeah,
information.
yeah.
Just
So I'm just trying to figure it out on my own,
right,
which eventually will lead up to the life I live today.
right.
So not really understanding what was going on in my life to discover these things. I was just trying to figure things out. I was very curious as a young kid,
Right.
and that curiosity pricked a lot of questions in my own self, my own head.
Right.
Some was
Sure.
very fearful, and some was like really clear.
Right, right. I
And,
mean, you had a lot of trauma early on, it sounds like. So you had
yeah,
to try to sort through that.
but not really just the trauma. But I mean, you could say it was the trauma I dealt with, basically the abandonment of my father not being there. That's
Yeah.
that's one, but also just trying to understand life.
Right.
What
Right.
what's life about?
So did you start trying to figure out life at a young age? Like, a lot of kids don't, it's not a priority to them when it comes down to that. But I do see certain kids kind of, become adults. Like I became an adult very quickly. Probably by 10, I was mentally an adult. I could do everything. I was trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
And I want to cut you off there for a second just to talk a little bit about that because I see a lot of kids today who are growing up too fast, I guess we can call it, but like just trying to be an adult, trying to solve problems because it sounds like you were trying to become a man at an early age. How was that struggle?
Well, it was definitely a struggle because you don't know. I'm saying you don't know what you don't know. You
Right,
know,
right,
and in the environment that you're in, you really can't figure it out because it's not conducive to like teaching and learning, and
right.
understanding
You
life.
didn't have a role
Right,
model to
right.
mimic.
And then everybody else is in their own world too as well. My mom was so busy hustling, trying to work, so she's working all day long. It's just
Right,
me and my siblings, we in the house, we kids, so we don't really know.
right.
And at moments, I would have like different questions when people would pass away, would die in my
Mm,
family, or just about life in general. Why is life? Why is death? Why? Who's God? Stuff like that. And those kind of questions that was really that lingered in my head a lot.
So when it comes down to like who's God as far as religion, I mean, I grew up in an all Islamic family. That was my household. So I always had structure. A lot of people don't realize no matter how bad it was, we had that. That kept me grounded. What would you say was the biggest struggle in understanding like religion for you?
Well, since I was really curious, I went to church like we kind of lived in the church.
Okay.
Like my mom, we grew up in church. I'm from down south, so all we had was churches
Church
down in my
family.
family.
Mm-hmm.
My real grandmother was a big preacher. Her name was Ruth Brown, so she was a big preacher
Mm.
in the south.
Okay.
And other Ruth Brown was a singer. So when she passed away, people thought it was a singer that passed away. They were
Mm.
both well known.
Right.
So we grew up in that kind of environment, culture. But my mom, when she moved to Philly, she never went to church, but she always sent us to church.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
so every day I was in there, I was learning the drums, I was reading the Bibles and Bible study, and I
Right.
would just sit there and just thinking when they read stuff, I would think about it and I would listen to it, and I was like, okay, all right, and I try to figure it out. Did it make sense or it don't make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I had kind of struggled with some of the fundamental principles of Christianity at a
Mm.
young age. I had questions,
Right. Right.
because I read too.
Right.
I just ain't listen, I read, because I was at that point in my time, 9 or 10 years old. I think we was watching TV, and my little sister and Jehovah Witness came on TV. And they said the world was coming to an end in
Mm.
about 4 months.
Right.
So that really put fear in my heart.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean?
Of
So
course.
I like, damn, life is over already. Like,
Just get started.
yeah, just get
Right.
started.
Right.
My mom was like, well, y'all gonna be all right, y'all kids, so kids get to go to heaven. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I still want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And every day got closer and closer, and it was just on my mind. Like, damn, we got
Mm.
these many days left to live. We got these
Right.
many days left to live. So I was traumatized by that. You
Absolutely.
know, um,
Absolutely.
and
How long would you say that actually lasted? That
lasted for
feeling.
the 4 months.
Wow.
Man,
Wow.
only way I got over it is when the next day came and we were still here.
He was like, all right.
Yeah,
So that didn't happen.
yeah, because I was
Right.
seeing it everywhere. I was seeing it on the news. I actually see a white guy downtown in a suit talking about the world coming to an end. So I was really like believing it because
Wow.
so many people that you thought was
Yeah,
successful,
you kind of yeah you
yeah,
keep hearing this and
yeah,
they're like it's like that's I mean I think it's the COVID scenario. Like,
yeah,
you don't get the shot, then you out of here. I think that's kind of the same
the
balance
fear
and
factor.
creating that fear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the fear
Wow.
tactic to keep you,
Control.
in control. Yeah, exactly. So
Control. Absolutely.
that was one of the
Absolutely.
struggles I had right there, and just trying to learn life and just learn, why my mom is going through this, why she's struggling, and then eventually like my pop back, why he's not here to protect us,
Right.
not knowing what happened between them two either.
What caused you to I know a lot of I dealt with a lot of people that has been around me who just say, okay, my dad's not here, oh well, I'm gonna move on. What do you think triggered you to say, where's my dad, why is he not here? I think that's kind of it's not as normal as it would,
Yeah.
it's not normal for kids
I
to
think
say
it
that.
shows it for everybody. I think in the moments when you know you need somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, and especially the male who represents that protection,
Right.
that security, and when you don't have that, the first person you're gonna look to is your father. You know what I'm
Right.
saying, even though
Right.
he's not
Absolutely.
present. And that's when you start asking those questions like, why are you not here to protect us? Because there was things going on. My mom got to fights, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
She got to fights with her boyfriend, or go to school, and I mean, kids got their fathers there, and your father's not there. So
Right.
all these things you feel, that's when you feel the abandonment, like
Right.
nobody's there
I'm
for you.
sure. I'm
So
sure.
that's a trauma you kind of deal with. And then moments you just be a kid and just be happy and fun, you have those moments too.
Right.
And very seldomly you think about that when things trigger
Mm-hmm.
that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
then when you get to a point where it's okay, I mean, he's not around, or you're going to see your dad. Oh yeah, I'm finally going to see my dad, and you get
Mhm.
excited about that. So we would take
Absolutely.
trips down south at a young age. I probably see my father at least like 5, 6 times my whole life.
Wow. Wow.
Before he passed away. But that's the thing. I mean, that's one of the traumas. Then my mom boyfriend put a gun to my face at 13 years old.
Wow.
They was fighting. I jumped in the fight. He took me outside and just put the gun point blank range to my head. Like, don't
Mm.
ever jump into a fight with me and your mom again. And that particular moment kind of changed my
I'm
life.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean,
Like,
something like that, I can see just pushing you over the edge
yeah.
mentally. Because now, it's like I have to be the man. Now I have to figure out how to protect
Mhm.
because you're already trying to figure out everything else. But
Right.
now that just added more to your plate. How was that going forward? I can imagine that had to be
Well,
a
I kind of
struggle.
had that kind of when I was moving back to my mom and my aunt house. So when I came back, I was 13. I was a little taller then, and I eventually had that mindset already,
Mm-hmm.
protecting my sister, protecting my mom,
Right.
and that's why I jumped into the fight. But after that incident happened, I thought I was cool. My mom
Mm.
said, "You all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good. You all right?" She said, "Yeah," but realized years later that I really wasn't. I
Right.
mean, after I did my reflection, after I started my journey for personal development
Mm-hmm.
in prison, I did the reflection. I was like, dang, that's why I became a teenager. I became like fearless. I mean, I wasn't afraid of the dark no more. I wasn't afraid of the streets.
I'm sure
I
you
wasn't
wasn't afraid of nothing.
afraid
You
of
had a gun in
dying.
your face.
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah.
So all that triggered that, but not knowing that, just still moving through life.
Because there was no one to say, hey, that traumatized you, or
Right,
even address your concerns,
right.
or to let that out.
Yeah.
And that's going to lead me to what I'm asking now. How was it? So you went from this young man to a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So how was it transitioning into a teenager, with this whole fearless mentality? Because I'm a teenager with a fearless mentality. I was a troubled child too at some point. um how was that for you, just kind of saying I'm not worried about nothing? Because I know exactly how you felt, to be honest.
Well, I mean, being out there in the streets is like more so um, cautious. I mean,
Of
instead of
course, yeah,
fearful,
yeah, yeah. Well, that's
cautious,
what
but it's
fearful
yeah.
kind of is. You're watching everything,
No, fear paralyzes you. It
Yeah,
stops you. Caution allows you to move.
yeah. I
But,
think
but
it kind of triggers that too, though.
it
Fear
does.
can trigger alertness like never before. Because I know my fear triggers an alertness. I can see through stuff. You can see through the wall. Yup,
Yeah.
because I'm afraid of what might come out of it. Did you have that kind of fear?
No, I didn't have that kind of fear. See, even determining like what fear, how I normally break it down. There's two types of fear,
Hmm.
right? One is the immediate danger that
Right,
you're in.
right, right.
The
Absolutely.
other is what you create
Right.
in your own mind, right?
Yes, yes.
So with me being a rationalist, I mean, at a young age, I would see things from how it is,
Mm.
and I'll probably see how it's going down, what's happening. Because being
Mm-hmm.
street smart, being in the street,
Right.
it's just now it's being in survival mode.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
using that stress to think quicker,
Mm-hmm.
move quicker. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
react and respond quicker.
Right.
And not the fear. I'm saying so you can have stress without fear that triggers the stress hormones, but
Right.
then you can have fear, the amygdala that stresses, that creates the stress
True.
hormone.
True
Fear.
indeed. True indeed.
So with me in the streets is like I was never in fear of things. It was just that I was cautious because I maybe not
Mm.
didn't know. I'm saying
Right.
the outcome of things.
Right.
And living that kind of lifestyle in the streets and like going to school, junior high, getting exposed to a lot of crime that I
Of
wasn't
course.
exposed to. Stealing, robbing, boosting,
Mm-hmm.
robbing people, snatching pockets, stuff like not pocket, but pockets from
Right.
dudes, white guys fighting in Broad Street, New Year's Eve. So all
Oh,
these
you just
things I
did it
was
all.
exposed,
Right.
writing graffiti in the subway, by the trains, not being afraid of the trains, an L
Mm-hmm.
running by you while you in that little cubbyhole,
Right.
rats running around. So all these different things, it's kind of like I became fearless because I started learning how to navigate,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
You
know.
you were out. You were
And
out moving around.
like even my mom, like when I do my shows, like I wrote my book, she couldn't read the book, the first book I wrote, my
Mm-hmm.
autobiography, because it was so painful for her to understand me from my perspective and
Mm-hmm.
not from her perspective.
How was that? Saying this is what I went through, and to know. I mean, I think as we go through things as young people, and then our moms, which I'll let you interview me one day. But
Mm-hmm.
to be able to sit with your mom and say, or she see your story and say, "Damn, I put my child do this." Because a lot of times our mom, as moms, we take responsibility,
Yeah,
we take
yeah.
accountability for everything. So, how was your mom during that transition for you?
Well, I know, like, I'm gonna take it back to the homicide when I committed the murder. I think my mom and dad was blaming each other for it, right?
Mm,
So like, you should have took him down, Philly, or you should have been there for him, took care of, et cetera, et
right,
cetera. So when I got on the phone with her, and she was telling me my dad was blaming her for it, and I was like, listen, it's not your fault,
right,
right? Don't
right,
take the blame. It's my fault. I decided to do it. I chose to pick the gun up. I chose to pull the trigger. I'm taking full
right,
responsibility for that. Because to a point, she was even trying to get me in denial of my own actions. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like, you
right.
didn't do that. You didn't shoot
Because
out.
moms take
Yeah,
accountability.
yeah,
We do.
right. So I was telling her, I'm accountability. My father's fault ain't your fault. I mean, to a degree, I mean, circumstances could have been better. I mean,
Choices, right?
right? But I chose to still do that because I could have chose not to.
Right,
Right?
right.
So this time I had to take accountability because I was able to take accountability at 19 years old. I mean,
Awesome.
and facing who I was. That's when I did the reflection when I was in
So
jail.
can we jump back into that and I'll kind of skip through. I got
Right.
1,000 trillion questions. But so let's talk about the crime a little after, like when right before you went to jail. What happened? What provoked the choice? Because I want to make sure that we're sharing that this was a choice, because when young people right now, I deal with a lot of young people, and one of the things is we have a choice. We don't always make the best choices, but it's what you chose.
Right.
So let's talk about that. What got you to that point?
Well, like I said, I experienced that, like guns in my head, of all those kind of like, um, as a ripple effect of my actions, being in the streets, being exposed to certain things,
Mm-hmm.
then getting into the hustle game, selling drugs. And for myself, my demeanor, I was always like a quiet, serious person.
Got you.
So I didn't play with people, and I didn't expect people to play with me.
Right.
Don't play with my sisters. Don't play with my mom. I mean, especially as I started growing older, because all the years, my younger years, it was about people trying to hurt my mom. You know what I'm saying my
Right.
sister needed to be
Yeah.
protected, so I
Carrying
had that
her.
protective mindset, which men already have.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm mixing that with drugs in the street, not using them, but
You're a
hustling,
hustler, right?
being exposed into it. I mean, being around the streets and knowing how the streets are, how
Mm-hmm.
dangerous the streets can be. So just being part of that game and playing it,
Mm.
and I think as we began to get older, 15, 16 years old, and making money, hustling, getting cars, same
Right.
year, a lot of people got jealous of that. A lot of people we grew up with got jealous of that too. So
Mm.
we had a lot of animosity. And when it came to like females liking us and females in this block, it was real territorial back then too. Certain
Oh
blocks you
yeah.
couldn't go on,
Right.
and then even though we all grew up together and made it to school, there was still a level of envy. I mean, with
Oh
some
yeah.
guys.
Oh yeah.
And I was always playing the back. And then eventually, like my friends, they started, getting high. From
Mm.
syrup and pills and weed, and eventually that's kind of crumbled down from 10 of us being together, none of us getting high, then everybody getting high except for me. So
Wow.
and now I
Wow.
became an overseer of them. Because
Absolutely.
now
Because then
they're
you got to
making money.
protect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to protect them because I'm the only one sober.
Mm-hmm.
I got a straight mind. I'm always watching everything. So
Mm-hmm.
eventually started getting to altercations with other guys in different parts of the neighborhood, and now just protecting each other. But there was one of my friends who was not really close knit, but we still grew up together and
Mm-hmm.
played and ride bikes together. And
Right.
he was just around us that day. And he eventually got murdered
Mm.
by some other guys in the part of the neighborhood, but in our community. And I was really furious about that.
I'm
Furious
sure.
about that
I'm
because
sure.
now it's like, damn, how he get killed? He ain't a drug dealer. He ain't a gunslinger. None of this stuff.
Right.
How this happened to him? And it
He ain't
happened to
even
none of
into
us.
this.
Right?
Right.
For real.
Right.
And that puzzled me too. So we didn't even have
Mm.
therapy for that loss of our money. I mean, so after that mindset, I was like, we ain't taking no more losses, like at all.
Mm.
I'm saying that was my mindset with anybody. I don't care who it is.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so then that grew up to altercation with some other guys in our neighborhood again.
Mm-hmm.
An argument brought out. Then we just had another feud with. We was going to war with a few different corners in our neighborhood, and
Understood.
eventually, and we went to skating that night, and things had got out of hand even before I got there.
Wow.
And then it was supposed to be crushed or ceased, and then when we came outside, we got hit with the red bullets,
Oh wow.
in our direction. So I
Oof.
just put my gun out, fired back, and I seen who was shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of calm the whole time, when it happened. And I just looked, and as my friend got shot, like, yo, get down on the ground. I mean, and I just put my gun on, and I started shooting back, and
Mm.
shot one of them, killed him.
Wow.
And I just walked away.
So how did you turn yourself in? Like how did how did you get the rap for it?
Well, eventually, people got my friend who got shot. He got locked up, got arrested. They asked
Okay.
him questions. There was asking a couple people who were there who stayed around and asked them questions.
Right.
They didn't know about me at all. Other people were shooting too, like some other friends were shooting. So they
Oh
wound up
yeah.
catching
Sounds
them, I
crazy.
mean, locking them up.
Wow.
And I was probably the last person who get locked up. Like four of us in the case. I was
Mm-hmm.
the last person to get locked up because they didn't know my name. You know?
Got you.
Then eventually they found out my name from a drug case that I had. I jumped all over it.
Mm.
I had to go back to court for it.
Wow.
So they came to my house. They found me there, and like, my neighbors like surprised, like, "What? What are you locking him up for?"
Right.
and I was a good kid on the block.
No, he don't even do nothing. Right.
I mean, I was a
Right.
good kid. I was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I
Right.
mean,
Right. Right.
so my mom was surprised. She didn't like know what was
Mm-hmm.
going on at all, and I was like, I'll be out. You know, I wasn't nigga the wrong person. I was still playing
Right.
off.
Right. 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 Of
You
course.
know,
Of course.
and to her, I was still her little boy. You know what I mean?
Oh, listen.
So
Yes.
when I eventually got locked up, and the person I was facing is death penalty,
Mm.
and like,
How, so as you know now, back in the day, we didn't have cameras in the courtroom.
right,
So,
right,
you know, I used to do reunification. So I've been all the wonderful prisons and,
okay,
did the transitions. But again, we weren't, there was no cameras. A lot of people, a lot of the, regular citizens didn't get to see what happened
mm-hmm.
in the courtroom. They didn't get to see your face when you received that sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So do you mind sharing, that feeling that you had when you were sentenced? Like, at that moment?
Well, when I was sentenced, I kind of knew what I was going to get around about time,
Okay.
right? I
Hmm.
just didn't know in the beginning of preliminary hearing. I didn't know like they were seeking the death penalty because I had a slew of charges. I had
Mm,
the murder, I had attempted murder on a witness, I had
okay.
aggravated assault, and I had conspiracy and a gun charge. So I had five major
Okay.
charges. So that's why they were seeking the death penalty. And we had the worst DA at the
Mm.
time, who was giving everybody life or death
Oh,
penalty.
one of the
And he was knocking the
careless
JBM, yeah,
ones, right?
he was knocking the JBM guys off. So that's like status. Like that's the time of my
Absolutely.
era during that time, right?
Right.
So he was giving everybody the death penalty of life,
Mm.
and we had him. So it was like, man, he's taking the death penalty. Like shit, he's like a celebrity in the courtroom. So I was like, no, I was always optimistic. Like, man, we ain't getting the death penalty. I mean, I was in my home, we ain't getting the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that.
Mm.
Because of what happened, because of the shootout.
Right. Right.
So I didn't know too much about the law either, but I was optimistic. I've always been an optimistic person,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then we sat in Holmesburg for a long time, about 30 months, which is the worst prison in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yes, I had some
Where
cases
a lot
there
of
in
violence
Gresham.
and murders go on still, drugs,
Right. Right inside
guns,
of there. Yes.
inside the joint too.
Yes.
People had guns in there, everything. So it was like the streets on steroids, mentally.
Woo.
And rapes and everything still was going on. And
Absolutely.
that's why my mom was so paranoid of me being in the jail because she'd see it on the news all the time. A riot, a fire, I mean, somebody
Yeah,
got
the
killed.
lockdown, all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff.
lockdown.
You just
So
never know what
I
it
will
is.
always be able to call her because I had a good job in the counsel's office.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
so I can get out
Good.
on lockdown.
Right.
Like I'm good. Don't worry about it.
That's good. That's
So to make her ease herself, like, look, man, I'm not the same little kid that you thought I was.
good.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally different.
Right.
So I can take care of myself. And then sentencing time, it was like a breath of fresh air for me, really. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, because I got into court, we got convicted of a lesser charge, third-degree murder.
Mm.
So me and one of my rappies was in there. Everybody got lesser charge except for me. I got the most.
Okay.
So when I was in there, they were sentenced to run up the time 10 to 20 murder, 10 to 5 to 10 for conspiracy,
Mm-hmm.
1.5 to 3 for a gun charge. I beat the murder on a witness. I beat the aggravated assault.
Okay.
So my other rappy got charged with that.
Okay.
So
Got you.
I was like, good. I was like, damn, taking time, consecutive, concurrent. So
Mm-hmm.
now that's the big worry,
Right.
right? Everything was running consecutive.
Mm.
Actually, it was originally I had 15 to 30 years,
Wow. Wow.
but then the judge, they said, you got anything to say? I was like, yeah, I got something to say. I want to apologize to the family.
Mm.
Turned around, apologized to the family. After I did that, he was like, all right, I'm suspended 5 to 10 years off this sentence.
Mm.
I'm like,
Interesting. Interesting.
great. I smiled at my mom. They couldn't understand that. Why are you smiling? I'm like, because I don't have life.
Right. There you have it. I don't
Right,
have life.
right,
I don't have life.
So
Wow.
and that was my experience. And then that's like it's like the judge said to me, said, I see you're look like you're a good kid.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a lot going on for yourself. I mean, as far as your future is concerned, like I'm not gonna send you away for a long time.
Mm.
I'm gonna send you away a long enough time for you to recognize what life is about. And I don't know
Interesting.
why he's seen that or how he's seen that in me,
Mm-hmm.
but that was part of God's plan, Allah's plan for me. And I
Absolutely.
said after that moment, I said, even though I started my personal development before that,
Mm-hmm.
when my son was born, I started my personal development.
Okay. So you started personal development before you went to jail.
No, when I was in jail and my son was born while I was in jail.
Okay. Okay. Got
So
you.
when I see my son, he was my
That
why.
changed
He
your
became my
why.
why.
Right.
So
So
that's
because
when
that was my next question. So tell me about. So now I know why what your why is, because that's literally my question. See, he's controlling the interview here. Y'all. I knew this was going to happen. So so since your son was your why and you got into personal development, where did you start? I think just like I said, we have very similar fields, and when dealing with people, a lot of people don't know where to start. When it comes down to personal development, where would you say, where was your starting point?
Well, I get this question a lot of times, especially when I speak on stages with neuroscientists and
Because that's what I am, right?
life coaches and all this stuff
Right, right, right.
around the world who've been doing this work for 50 and
For,
60
for a
years.
long
And they're
time.
like how, what,
Because
how
that's
did,
our biggest
because so
struggle.
like most people, that's impossible to come from that place of being in the streets and the murderer and, and living that lifestyle
And
to
no
become
book
the
can tell
person
you.
that's who I am now, right?
Right.
So she was like, they was like, how, what books you read? I was like, I read no books. There
Hmm.
was no books for us
Right.
to read on personal development.
There's, yeah.
Emotional intelligence wasn't really known. I mean, especially in our community back then.
No, not at
Neuroscience
all.
was known. Quantum physics was known.
Not at
So
all.
none of them books are offered. Only thing is Donald Goins and smut books and everything else is important or
Absolutely.
religious. I mean, so only books I read was the Bible because I came to jail. I was still Christian,
Hmm.
and then I eventually converted to Islam. And I started reading Quran, and that gave me more insight about who I was as a man. Like, I wanted to
Okay.
find out who's a man. I can't be a father unless I'm a man first.
Mm.
So that kind of started off. But one of the key things I still do today in my trainings and my coaching individuals is one thing that led me to the breakthrough is reflection.
Mm. Mm.
Reflection is your freedom.
So talk about talk tell the people a little bit about when you say reflection. And we know, typically reflection is just looking at yourself, of course, right? But go a little deeper for me to tell me, like, what was that like for you? How did you reflect? Because I know, again, people struggle with reflection. We start to, me myself, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look at myself, and the next thing you know, I'm like, well, if he wasn't doing this.
Right.
So how do we do that without involving other
Well,
people?
it's take accountability,
Hmm.
right? So I'm a accountability person, so I take accountability, and I know that the only way I'm gonna be able to move forward if I know where I'm at,
Right.
right? And because I was in this bed, in this cell, in this
Hmm.
bed, I mean, facing life at the time, I didn't know what I was gonna get. I was still facing life at the time.
Right.
You know, I sat there and I was like thinking my son, like I don't want my son going through what I've been through without my father. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if I'm not gonna be in his life, I'm not gonna be like physically in his able life, I'm gonna be able to give him some information and knowledge to be in
Hmm.
his life to be there for him. So um, one of the things that came to my mind, like I reflected on myself as a kid, like who did I want to be as a kid?
Mm.
I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to be a ball
Okay.
player.
Okay. So you
All the
took it
things,
back.
yeah, I took it back to my like as far as I remember,
Hmm.
and I thought about my dad not being there. I thought about things I lacked in life
Right.
growing up, and then as I went through those stages of my life, then I discovered the abandonment. I discovered the gun being put in my face.
Hmm.
And all I said, oh, these are the things that changed my mindset.
So, with that being said, first you identified, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your next step? Did you, and I mean simply because I'm a do right now person,
Right.
and I my approach is, let's write it down. Did you write it down? Did you say I gotta write this down, or did you store it in your head and say, okay, here's those three things? Let's just say three things that I identified. What was your
Right. So
process?
for me, I have a great memory. Not
Okay,
photographic, but I have a great memory. I remember a lot of
understood.
things,
Hmm.
right? So I can remember, like even now, just reflecting on it, I can tell my whole story. I just did a stage play like the last 3 months, all July,
Mm.
June, July, August
Hmm.
of my life. And people are like,
Wow.
how do you remember all that? How do you? Like my mom, my sister, they hearing stuff for the first time on
Wow.
stage.
Wow.
How did you remember all that? I said, because it don't go away,
Mm-mm.
right? And the people in the audience, like some of the men was in the audience, the young brothers, like, how can you tell that without crying? How can you tell that without breaking down, right?
Right. Right.
I said, because I'm healed from it.
Mm. Mm.
You know, when you heal,
That's power.
it don't hurt,
That's
right?
powerful. That's
So
powerful. Right.
you can share it, you can express it. Now you get the value out of
Hmm.
it, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Becomes a tool.
pain don't leave you until you learn the lesson.
Yes. Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
That is true. That is true.
So those stages right there, I created a curriculum called what is called the 7 steps of transformation
Mm.
and reflection. I just thought about my life back then, like what I do. I reflected on my life. I took accountability for my stuff. I see what I could change, what I couldn't change.
Hmm.
I mean, I could see what I was still carrying. I took inventory check.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So
Hmm.
I just dismissed a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
unlearned a lot of stuff I learned growing up through my
Right.
environment and experiences, and I try to learn it now. I want to learn new things about
Right.
myself, right?
Right.
And I was courageous to commit to that change,
That was my next
right?
question. Yeah, because commitment.
Mhm.
Goodness. One of the biggest things I feel like people struggle with, rather in everyday life, change, reflection, it's like, okay, I have to commit. Even reflection, you have to commit to it.
Right. Mhm.
So how was that for you? I mean, of course you were in a cell. You had time, you had opportunity to pour into it. How do you think say how did you what was your approach to the commitment? Because I think again,
Well, I think it comes from like understanding neuroscience. Now, I think it comes from the commitment, the belief system that
mhm.
goes along with the commitment, and the willpower to just know the vision is there. I see myself better than who I am.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
So you
I
see
Yeah,
you had a vision
yeah,
to be better.
yeah.
Okay. I like it.
I know I was better than the person who I was at that point,
Absolutely.
and I
Absolutely.
realized what made me that person.
Mhm.
Those experiences I had, right?
Right. Right.
That trauma I dealt with, and then I realized that the past I couldn't change. I can only live in the now, and I
Mhm.
wanted to do it now because I'm in the most hostile environment.
Mhm.
I mean, my temper was to the roof. Like I justified
Mm.
everything I did to anybody.
Mm.
I mean, so I wouldn't feel guilty. I
Mm.
wouldn't feel ashamed or none of that.
Interesting.
So I recognized that also
Right.
too in my reflection.
Mm.
So during the reflection time, I started understanding who I was becoming from that child to that teenager
Mhm.
to that person who didn't care about themselves because I
Mhm.
didn't have self love, obviously, right? I make
Absolutely.
poor
Absolutely
decisions.
not.
But I also knew that I didn't totally lose myself because I still have a level of empathy. I still have a
Mm.
level of love for people and care for people. So it was a battle between my negative, my lower self, and my higher self.
Okay.
And with the grace of Allah, I mean, allow me to, with mercy, to continue to guide me because I was open for it now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I opened myself up to receive,
Right.
you know?
Absolutely.
And when
Absolutely.
I did that, that's how I tell people, like, it wasn't books. Everything I realized later, everything I needed was already in me.
It's already in you. It's
Right?
already. Oh my goodness! It's anybody know me to hear that so
Yeah.
much from me. It's
Yeah.
already there. We have to uh,
Discovered it.
discover it, organize it, put it together, and then learn how to use it as a tool.
Right.
So, with that being said, um, you started your journey to personal development. Um, you are self taught, which is amazing. Um, you started this journey. You're like, okay, I'm going to be a better person. You had your vision. At what point did you start to say, okay, because what's the name of your book? You have two books or three?
Yeah.
No, two books
Three.
and a movie. Oh, you got three books.
Yeah, I have a co-written. The last book is co-written. It's like a journal basically
Okay.
book for like businesses, corporations.
Okay.
But the first book is Life and Times Little Little.
Okay. I
I
seen
see
that,
why.
but right,
I see
right.
you. And then I rewrote that again and added some more of the forgiveness story to it because that
Mm,
wasn't in it when the person forgave me from the brother, right?
okay.
So I added that to it, and then I wrote Taking Life Back.
Okay. That's the one
That's
that
what I
I'm
wrote.
I'm familiar
And
with.
then this one I got now is me. I co-written, wrote it with me and a billionaire named Jeff Hoffman who invented the kiosk at the airports.
Okay.
Another brother Tim Rose who was the founder, millionaire founder of Go Abundance Millionaire Boys Club,
Okay.
and a couple of other members who are a part of our team called One Life.
Okay.
We started going into the businesses and bringing this kind of full core program to different
Mm,
corporations that's trying to scale, basically, right?
absolutely.
So that's the first book was basically um, me wanting to share my experience with my children,
Okay.
and
Okay.
my grandchildren because I didn't
Nice.
know my father or my grandfathers on either side,
Right.
So I couldn't identify with nothing because of that, So now my grandchildren or my great grandchildren, they will always have this book
It's
saying,
legacy. It's a
yeah,
legacy.
right, and they would look at their grandfather, great grandfather, like, damn, my grandfather went through this, and he did this, and he changed that, and he did this, and he did this for the world.
Right.
So now they
Right.
can say it's all in you
Yeah.
as well, and continue to elevate.
Continue this
Yeah,
legacy
yeah,
because
yeah.
you created it. How does that make you feel knowing that you were able to create something that not just not existed but for generations. Like you, this is the start of a generation for you. How does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, um,
Get
I don't
excited. You
know.
ain't gonna be
No,
cool in here.
I
You can
know.
forget
I don't
about
get
it.
excited that much.
I see. That's why I'm pushing
Yeah,
you.
I don't get excited. I'm like, so I'm an introvert, so I'm nonchalant, but I kind of work on that a lot too as
I
well.
see it.
You know,
I'm gonna get on your nerves today.
but
It's
no,
okay.
it's okay. I'm used to that now. I mean, I don't broke out of it. I was there, but yeah, I feel good about it. You know, and mainly what it does for other people. That's what I feel good about.
I
You know,
see that. I see that in you. That you kind of feed off of the energy. Like I see you give so much energy out to people that it's actually amazing. I sit in and watch some mornings,
right.
like I'm doing stuff, doing paperwork or whatever, and I'm sitting there like I see that energy that you pour into people. And being an introvert, I deal with again a lot of business people, a lot of people just in general. And when we say we're introverts, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm an introvert," so they think, "Oh, I can't deal with people, I can't talk to people." How is that balance for you, being an introvert or calling yourself an introvert? Because I don't believe you're an introvert, but
Yeah, no, I'm actually definitely an introvert, but because I tap into who I truly am,
you're able
I don't
to
allow that to stop me.
commingle. Right,
Right. I
right,
mean,
right.
so even like my mom will be surprised at me speaking on stages or
Mm.
speaking in front of people I don't
'Cause
know.
that's not normal. When you say you're an introvert, it's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah,
uh,
I'm like, you couldn't find me in the house. That's how kind of kid I was.
okay,
That's how
okay,
quiet I was.
yeah,
My mom had to come look for me for
right,
dinner. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
right,
So, and I was in my own world then. I'd probably sit in the closet just thinking.
right,
That's how I was. I mean,
yeah.
so even with my friends, like I be doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I'll be the one chilling. That's why
Mm-hmm.
everybody, the parents love me. Like, look, he
Like, well,
pulled
he the
something.
good one,
Yeah, he the good one. Yeah, exactly.
right, right.
But could be the worst one out of everybody.
Of
I
course,
know
of
to know when
course,
to perform and when not to. You know,
right.
so yeah. So it's just like I tell people all the time. Like when you're calling, I mean, your purpose moves you. It takes
Mm,
you out of what has shaped you in your
absolutely,
experience, and
absolutely.
you have no choice but to be that.
Yeah, yeah.
So the courage comes from that. You know,
Awesome.
the ability to speak up comes from that, and then just challenging yourself to be uncomfortable because you're in
Yes.
your own way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when you're not doing that. So if I would have stayed fearful of getting on planes, or I would have stayed
Mm,
antisocial,
right.
and not be Joe, like I tell people to be Joe,
Be Joe. Right.
right? So I wouldn't have been on those flights going to different places and meeting
right.
uh, powerful people in the country
Absolutely.
that's doing this work,
Absolutely.
and being able
Absolutely.
to sponge off of them. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And take it back to Philadelphia and share that. So when you're on a mission, you move in purpose. Nothing can distract you.
Absolutely not.
Not even yourself,
Absolutely.
not even your old self.
So, so what got you interested in emotional intelligence as a whole? Like, because that's what you're known for,
Mm-hmm.
that's your what. It's like, oh, well, emotional intelligence before we know anything else. So what got you focused on that? Because it's kind of a new term when
Yeah,
it comes down to the psychology world right now. Emotional intelligence is new. What got you to go that direction?
Well, I think it was like a calling for me to tap into that, right? Because before it was been known, but that's one person coined the phrase, and most of it really
Absolutely.
was in the '70s. But one day on a block in jail, I was watching Bruce Willis,
Mm-hmm.
Die Hard One,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Hans told Bruce Willis that he was acting off emotions without using the benefit of his intellect,
Mm.
and that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
Out of everything in the movie, I
That was it.
mean, that part stuck with me. I was like,
Mm.
damn, that's me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So knowing that, I mean, I'm normally a rational person. I normally think, but
Right.
my anger is in a way. It's like I'm stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
My Aquarius jumps in stubbornness. I'm gonna do it no matter what people say, what the people think about it. Anybody try to stop me, I'm doing it. And that's how I was,
Yes.
So and I was like, damn, it resonated with me. I said, that's me. I mean,
Mm.
and then I understood emotional intelligence.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
So when I heard the phrase later, years later, I mean,
Right.
it's when I started traveling. That's when I really heard the phrase emotional intelligence.
You was like,
When a young
that's
lady from
it.
Philadelphia was actually in California with me, a white lady,
Mm-hmm.
who was speaking about it. I mean,
Mm.
and she was dropping some jewels. I was like, damn. I mean, that's what I'm gonna tap into because my community needs that. The rich
Absolutely.
communities are pouring into each other. The poor communities don't have this. They don't teach in our community why because it's probably too high, pricey, 1500 to
Yeah,
$15,000.
absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
so we ain't gonna invest in that. We don't know how to invest in ourselves and not invest in
I
material
think
things.
that's it. We don't know how. I
Yeah.
think a lot of, for me being a technologist, we don't know how to get the right technology put into our communities and our
Mm-hmm.
business and things like that. So I think that's the key,
Mm-hmm.
knowing how, you
Yes.
know. Um Now with emotional intelligence, you said you tapped into that. What would you say was your approach to that? How would you say you said, okay, you said you were moving around, you got some jewels, you were
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, this is it, I'm gonna tap in. What would you say was your next step to say, like, how did you say, okay, I'm gonna pour this into what I'm doing right now?
Well, I thought there's some more research on the principles of emotional intelligence, which is self awareness,
Hmm.
self management, which
What
I
you
was already
already,
doing.
yeah,
I'm
what
saying
you
I
were
was doing
already
this all
doing.
the time. And even a person I talked to who actually shared the information on the stage about it, she was like,
Hmm.
"Will, like your story is amazing, right?
Right.
That's all emotional intelligence." I said, "Yeah,
Hmm.
I know." I mean, from you
He's
explaining it
like,
to
I
me,
just didn't have a title,
yeah,
but
yeah, exactly.
right.
And I know that's more of a phrase that's known in that world, personal development world, you know.
Absolutely.
So I took on that and I went back and I studied it more and more, and then I created my own curriculum.
Hmm.
I mean, in our way, in our Black and Brown community, and we can receive it better. And
Absolutely.
I created a curriculum called the Human System,
Mm.
you know, which is dealing with what self awareness,
Right.
right? And I knew the biggest crisis that we face as people is identity. It's
Absolutely.
identity crisis. That's the biggest
Absolutely.
problem that we have,
Hmm.
and especially with us looking for value in material things, not knowing that we are the true value, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I wanted to create something that a 10-year-old and my 10-year-old daughter could understand.
Mm.
I mean, and an 80-year-old
Simple.
person can understand,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Simplify it and just understanding language and what language we use to describe ourselves
Hmm.
or what we believe about or we see about. And I think we're just misinformed about vocabulary, misinformed about things in life, and
Yes.
more importantly, ourselves, misinformed
Absolutely.
ourselves. So
Absolutely.
just putting those things like in my class now, the next week will be the last class for the graduation. This is like my fifth graduation in emotional
Mm.
intelligence in the system. I mean,
Congratulations. Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
People are buying into it now. I mean, because they see that we don't need to cope, we need to heal.
Need to heal.
Right? So
Yes.
America gonna feed you coping mechanisms. Why? Because there's no money in the cure.
There's no money in healing. If you're
Yeah,
healed,
right, right,
we
right.
can't fix you.
Yep. So, and I was explaining to people. I said, you got. I look at this when I was in jail. I had a group of college kids coming to the jail, and I was at this time. I was like 5 years in.
Hmm.
I was in my personal development. I was an imam of the jail too. I
Okay.
was like 20,
Oh, alhamdulillah.
23, 24 years old,
Okay.
and they came in and wanted to ask questions about the jail.
Hmm.
So I was like, all right, cool. And they was like, we walked around the jail. We see that it was like probably 8 whites and like 3 blacks. So the blacks
Mm.
asked the question. They felt more comfortable, right?
Right.
So I was like, it's like you look at this jail and it's like y'all got phones. I got a state of the art gymnasium with free weights and everything else, machine weights. I got HBO, got cable. She's like, where's the punishment?
Hmm.
I was like, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it either, right?
Yeah, not like that.
So
Right.
when she started pointing things out, I said, okay, got an answer for you. It's not for us. It's like, she means it's not for us, not for y'all. It's like, look at it, it's not for us. So if you ever been to a trip before, Bahamas? She's like, no, I've been to Cancun. I said, great. I said, you been to Cancun? Did you like
Hmm.
it? She's like, yeah, I like it. All right, did they teach you really good? It's like, yeah. Was it
Hmm.
like service in the room service and all? Yeah. It's like, would you go back? I said, yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So jealous.
Mm.
It's a
I love
revolving
that.
door.
It's a revolving door. They want you to
Right.
come back.
You should come back. I mean, you
They
feel
need you to come
three
back.
hots in the cot. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Comfortable phone, no bills, no responsibility.
Right.
Yeah, of course. They want to
Especially when you
gymnasium's
get out
nice.
here on the streets and there's nothing here for you
Yep.
because a lot of people in our community have
Nobody's taking
nothing.
care of you. You got no support system.
Right.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna come right back to jail. What you see? People, I've been in jail 10 years. People go home for 2 years, come back, 3 years, come back, 1 year, come back, 6 months, come back, 4 days, come right back.
Right.
And they've been
Right.
in jail for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Why? Because they done got accustomed to the system. Right?
Yes.
Once you're programmed to the system, right?
Institutionalized.
And people fear going home. They fear going out there. They're going to come back in jail and
Or
eventually
they
fear going
get
out there.
home and that reunification with my job was, didn't work. A lot of frustration with dealing with the families, trying to reunify with the family, or whatever crime was committed or whatever got them there wasn't forgiven or wasn't accepted. So I think, a lot of brothers end up turning around, going back,
Yeah.
because this is the only place where I can be me, be comfortable and be forgiven, or you know
Well, in reality, they didn't do the work in the first place,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
So, like for myself, and yeah, I was doing the work, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and not even knowing. I never been on parole before.
Hmm.
Never been in jail before. I got away with every crime I committed. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, besides that, but now coming home and talking to them, is like explaining to them like, no, this is a Wall Street thing. This is about Wall Street. This is the market for niggas,
Hmm.
basically. I was saying something, right?
Absolutely.
So, so now understanding that more is because it
Hmm.
woke me up to something by asking that question. And I was like, all right, I'm not gonna be a part of the system no more. I mean, I don't care if I got 10 years to walk off.
Right.
I'm not coming back to jail. You know,
When you change that mindset, how hard was it to commit to that? I mean, because it's one thing to say something, but that commitment is everything.
well, the thing for me, it wasn't hard.
Hmm.
Nothing's hard. It's how,
I like that. So,
right?
what was your
So
how?
figuring it out.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you have a rationale for it.
Hmm.
Using these tools, you figure it out, and then take it every day at a time. So you don't know what's like. You don't fear the unknown. You be curious about the unknown. You be
True.
excited about the unknown. Most people fear the unknown,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that fear
Absolutely.
paralyzes them, and then eventually they go back to
And they kind of get stuck.
revert back to what's comfortable.
Right, right. So, what would you suggest for a brother who doesn't have the patience, the mentality, the commitment, or the courage that you had? What would you say?
Develop
So okay,
it.
and they would probably say okay. So,
Yeah.
but where would
You got to
that
show them
really
how.
start? So
People
so
need instructions.
so you are somebody, and I'm pushing people your way. You see,
Right.
tactics here. So that's something that you would do. Teach them that development, because I think that that's where a lot of our young people right now are lost. And I'm talking, I mean, the guys that I talk to right now are we talking 18 and up to maybe 25, if that, and then sometimes a few other people are sneaking class, and we got 16 and 15 there, but they don't have a
Yeah.
which is something I think that's necessary,
Right. Right.
to say, I talk like you. So I'm like, okay, you gotta develop it. And they like, but where do I start? And
Yeah.
I
You
think,
gotta show people how. Right.
right.
And I got that. Right. I did a speech at I did a speech on my life story at Ready, Willing, and Able.
Hmm.
I should go there to practice
Okay.
my speaking, so I would share with them my story. And everybody was like applauding and loving it. And one guy was like, "But I don't know how.
Mm,
Just too many times how." And I was like, "The guy was like, well, he explained to you what he went through." And I'm just thinking, like, my story. I came home from jail and I did this and that. I
exactly.
mean, and he's
Exactly.
like, "But I still don't know how to do it."
It applies
Right.
to me.
Right.
Right.
So that kind of laid in my mind for a while. Like,
Hmm.
okay, what I'm not sharing, what I'm not
Hmm.
teaching. I mean, and that's when I got into the howness of it all. I mean,
Good. Good.
and
Good.
breaking down and going back and reflecting my life again,
Hmm.
what steps I took. I mean, how did I get? Because you're just doing the work. I
Right.
mean, you just thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about sharing this with nobody. You're not thinking about teaching it to
No,
nobody.
you just
You're just doing the work on
implementing.
you, right?
Right.
So then I go back in my archives and reflect on that. Like, then, okay, so I did this and that. Now I know what the guy really want.
Hmm.
So now coming to that, now I can break it down to him and meet him where he's at, like, in
Hmm.
his space. So yeah, it's a I have a solutionary mindset, right?
Hmm.
That's one of the things people always ask me, like, why you're not affected by, like, therapists need therapy too. I said, no, I'm cool, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
why how you good? Therapists need therapy. I said, well, it's a difference on how I do my work.
Well, you
Right?
use your tools, and I think that's one of the biggest, the reason why I could do it for so long,
Right.
and start my practice, because when you're under the umbrella of an agency, you have to kind of follow their rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're doing your own thing, you're like, wait, I know, for like identity, self identity. I wait till I show you my books, you're gonna fall out in here. But one of the things was I first identifying who you are, um, and how to use these things on you. And then once you understand how to use them on you, you're going to I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly building. I'm my own therapist all day long.
Right.
And I think that, a lot of people shy away from therapy
Mm-hmm.
because there's never really a how in our industry. There's no one saying, hey, I know I called you before about a person. I said I want to
Right.
just send them to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, no, not a therapist in the industry or agency certified therapist per
Right.
se, because I felt like this person could, there would be some empathy there. There would
Mm-hmm.
be someone that can say, this person looks like me.
Mm-hmm.
This person can understand where I'm coming from, and I think that's one of that's key to where I'm going and why I even wanted you here right now
Right.
is the how. I think that's where a lot of black men, and I'm addressing just black men in general today, because I see a lot of them stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't help a black man. I can help guide you. I can give you information. I don't, there's going to be a bias.
Mm-hmm.
At some point we're going to reach a bias, and I'm no longer going to be helpful.
Yeah.
So this is why, I team up with other men in the industry, and we try to, kind of piggyback off of each other. But at this point, I find that same question always being, well, how? I heard your story. I see a lot of speakers who come out and speak, and this is probably the reason why I'm more reserved and quiet, because I'm like, I don't want to be the person out there just telling my story,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, okay, but how do I fix myself?
Right. Right.
Because that's the key, and that's what I think you get the most appreciation. You actually work with people, and you implement,
Yeah. Yeah.
implement.
Yeah.
You can tell people your story all day, but
Right.
if you can't show them the tools, that you use to get to where you are, I think it kind of gets people stuck, and again back in that on that
Hamster
circle.
wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's the thing with it's like for anybody, any person, like every problem you have, there's a solution, right?
Absolutely.
Because we wasn't born with problems.
No,
Allah
no,
didn't give us problems. He gave us
absolutely not.
challenges. He didn't
Absolutely.
give us problems. Problems you created.
Hmm.
So if you created the problem, you can delete the problems. Right?
Hmm.
But like I
Absolutely.
said, people don't realize that they're not taking ownership and responsibility. So
Hmm.
they want to give it to somebody else. So you'll never find the solution to the problem because you
Right.
keep giving it to somebody else when it's really yours. Right?
Yes.
Give it to God. No, God gave it to you.
God gave it to you, and
Right?
He expected you to
Exactly right.
fix it.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
you can elevate. I mean, you can grow. There's a difference in understanding life. We don't understand life. We're taught how to live. We're taught how to
Hmm.
survive.
Hmm.
So when you teach people how to live, life coaching, teaching them how to live, right?
Exactly.
In a way that suits them best in their own lane and
Hmm.
knowing how to find their lane because they're their own best doctor, they're their own best life coach. I'm just assisting you in the journey.
Yeah.
Everything I'm telling you, you already know.
Yeah.
You gotta put it together. I'm just showing you how to put the puzzle
How to get
together.
in touch with
Yeah,
themselves. I
yeah,
think that's the biggest obstacle, especially in our community, because like you said, it's the resources.
hmm,
They're not there,
yeah,
and they're not offered. And those who do get out and say, hey, here's the resources, those resources are taken away, they're shut down, they're shunned, financials, whatever. It's always something, right? So I was interested in, of course, I really have a lot of questions. You can be like, this girl's stalker.
hmm,
So, um, the street corner, you go out and you just set up shop, like kind of like anywhere, which I was like, yo, that's dope.
yeah.
I used to do that back in the day. I don't have the courage now, but like you set up shop, and how does that work? Like, you're up, you're set up. What do you do to get people to come over and say,
Attract them. Attract them. So
I love your answers. They be like, I just attract them.
yeah. I mean, people want help, and just
They
that it's
do.
not provided for
They
them, right?
do.
So when it comes to, let me say the different challenges and just learning too in the process, right? Because I
Right.
learn everywhere I'm at, I'm learning. So I'm a student of knowledge. So one location, just driving around. I drive around the city all around, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see a location that's a crowded area, a bus stop area.
Mm-hmm.
People out on a bus out there, people getting high, people going to school, going to work. I'm gonna set up shop there
Okay.
for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I come out, set up shop 4 days. And how I originally started doing it, sidewalk therapy, is I was doing it anyway, the barbershop.
Barbershop is like
Right,
where it all
right,
goes down. A
right,
hairdresser, barbershop.
right.
Right.
So, and in the barbershop, you have those kind of counseling sessions with individuals who are going through divorce,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, work,
Everything.
unemployment, yeah, everything, sports. And then some people can't just talk, it's too loud.
Mm-hmm.
I just go outside and do it. I mean, my man, I'm gonna go
And
outside
they
with
tell
him.
you, they gotta break it down
Yeah,
to
they gotta
you.
break it down. I just break it
Right.
down to them because they know what I do anyway, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a barbershop. So I like sidewalk therapy. That's the idea
Mm.
came from.
I
Sidewalk
like it. I
therapy,
like
right?
it. I like it.
And then I said, all right, I'm gonna keep this idea in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then years later, now I left the barbershop, retired 2019.
Okay.
You know, and that's when I started traveling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
15, I started traveling really, and then COVID happened, shut down. You know,
Right.
so I really got to the emotional intelligence rec centers and places like that, sharing this with our community.
Mm-hmm.
I know it would be very powerful in the city of Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
So last year, I was out selling my books.
Mm-hmm.
I was in front of my man culture shop, and I had the books out there. So when I had the books out there, like people walking by, like young boys walking by, so I stopped. What's up, shop? What y'all going? What y'all doing? I'm not going here. I'm going this. What's going? What's in your mind? What y'all doing with? I mean, I'm doing this. I'm trying to stay alive. I'm talking about keep my homies out of jail. And
Mm.
I got to coaching them. I mentored kids in barbershops. I mean, for years.
Right.
You know, so I was like, I'm having more conversations out here with just selling the book, selling the
Mm-hmm.
book of my life. So
Right.
I said, I'm gonna set up shop again. Next day, come out there again, just talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I was just standing out there first, and I got my table, and I got a chair, and I was do it the right way.
Right.
Take the
Right.
chair out there.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, and had sidewalk therapy out there. I didn't make a sign like, yeah, we'll sit down and talk about it. Like, yeah, sit down and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about, I got a book for you right here. You want to invest in the book, or you can wait later on.
Right.
Then like people, I want to buy the book. I need help, like coaches. So
Mm-hmm.
that sprung it right there from South Philly. I was doing in my neighborhood. I was like, all
Okay.
right, I'm gonna go West Philly and do it. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
go to Southwest and do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to Germantown and do it. I'm gonna go to North Philly and do it. I'm going to Erie Avenue. So I was just doing it, getting the pulse of the community. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
this real time data, right?
So collecting that data, and
Yeah.
I'm a data scientist, so
Right.
you have
Right.
to answer this.
Right.
No, but where would you say was the most receptive? Like, what was the best area for you at that moment?
All the areas,
Mm.
Southwest, big. It was nice. I would see like 10 people, probably like in a matter of 2 hours.
Wow, wow, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
can't pay that many people to come to a
Right.
therapy
Exactly.
session.
Right. Exactly. Can't go to the office. Can't go to counseling.
Right.
But a lot of times, like people like they give up on therapy because they find a therapist that don't relate. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
it's the how.
Yeah.
It's really, just in from my studies, I've learned that it's literally that. It's the how.
Hmm.
You know, therapists listen,
Yeah.
and they don't really give the
The
how.
how.
And
Exactly.
unfortunately, as a therapist and I'm going to refer to them as the agency, agency therapist, you have rules.
Yeah.
You're not really supposed to give the how.
Mm.
You can give instruction, you can give leading uh,
Fluff.
information to it, the fluff,
Yeah. Keep
right?
coming back. So the agency continue to get the money and keep
They
coming back.
need to
Right.
get you back in there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know exactly what it is. It's
Right.
the house. The reason why I left, my field, because it's like, how do I want to give people the how? I want to give them it's like giving the answers. Let me give you the answers so
Mm-hmm.
you can do the work. Because what you're giving people when you're out there, you're not just saying, hey guys, I was in jail before. And I know people who do this. I was in jail before, I was locked up. And that's it.
Yeah.
I used to be in these streets, young bull.
Yeah.
You like, okay, well, how do
See,
I not want to be there?
see the difference in telling your story and teaching.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't know how to
Exactly.
teach. They can
So
learn something. They don't know how to teach.
how do you differentiate that? Because I think it's a lot of brothers out here right now that will be watching, because I work with a lot of guys that go out here and mentor. How do you separate the two? You say, okay, because it is a difference in telling your story and then teaching,
Yeah.
using your story as a tool, right?
Right.
What kind of information would you give them?
Well, the thing is that everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody you encounter is different.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't care if it's 2 kids or 300 kids in the auditorium,
Mm-hmm.
2 adults to a conference with full adults.
Right.
Everybody is different. So for me, when I come in, I learn how to assess
Mm-hmm.
the room I'm in,
Absolutely.
or the person who's walking up to me while they're walking up. If they're on
Mm-hmm.
the phone, if they're talking to somebody, I'm catching all that information. I mean, see where
Absolutely.
their mind is at. And then number one thing I tell my team, that's what we're going to do. The best response.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, how you doing? Good morning. That's not the best. That's not the best conversation to have. What's your grateful? That's not the best conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to get somebody to stop in a busy environment is to say, "Can I ask you a question?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, because people are willing to help. All right,
It's nature
not
here.
knowing that they're the ones going to get the help.
Absolutely.
All right, So when me being out there, my first time on the corner, like, damn, I ain't stopping. I'm cool. I got to go. I got to my food. I got to do this. Like I said, all right. I asked another question. Can I ask you a question? Like, all right, yeah, what's up?
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, oh, I'll be right back. I got you. I got you. I'll be right back. And they
Yeah.
come right back.
Yeah.
Because they want to help
They
people.
want to help you.
Everybody always helping somebody else and not helping themselves. I
Exactly.
mean, I get a lot of that on the live. I don't
Mm.
do all this for everybody else. You have not taken time out to help
To
yourself.
help
You
you.
got to help you first. What the policy? Put your oxygen mask on first. Muslims, what the law say? Take care of yourself
Take care of
first. Then
yourself
yourself.
first.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the self is really the you versus you. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be no good for nobody else if you're not good for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just teaching that to
Right.
people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Self care is the best health care. You know.
Absolutely.
So learning that, data. Say now, all right, what is challenging you today? Oh, damn, I didn't think about that. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Everything, right? All right. Now let's get
Right.
specific. What is
Yes.
challenging you right now?
Right.
You know, so get them to break it down and compartmentalize,
Right.
and then prioritize,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can focus on what's happening right now. So you get out this space you're in. So if
Exactly.
you got 5 minute therapy, 10 minute therapy, you got 5 or 10 minutes to do some wonders in people's life because of
Oh,
what they're doing,
absolutely. I
right?
call it time
Right,
budgets. Yeah.
right, and then you can lead them to the live, and then lead them
Mm,
to the emotional side of the class, one
absolutely.
step at a time. Then lead them to the retreats, the
Yeah.
mini retreats we do. So now, if you really want to play full out, and
Mm-hmm.
you really want to invest in yourself, and you really want change, you'll take the necessary steps to do that. You have to participate in your own rescue.
Right. 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 I like that. You have to participate in your own rescue. And I'm going to steal that from you
Mm-hmm.
because people have expectations of you, the person sitting on the other side of the desk or chair, or wherever we're sitting,
Right.
for you to solve all their
Yeah.
problems,
Jump
right?
in their body and do it for
Yes.
them.
And I'm like, well, let me
Right.
just be you for today.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that's one of the things that I just love the way you put it because that's the expectation. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go in here and I say, they see consultant on my door
Mm-hmm.
and I'm Olivia Pope. I'm gonna come fix it. And don't get me wrong, I'm a good Olivia Pope, but we can't fix everything, you
Right.
know. And I think that's one of the things. It's kind of like I tell people all the time. It's bigger than accountability. It's about you implementing. I'm
Right.
huge on implementation. If implement, and I guess my tech side. You sound like a
Right.
computer anyway, so it's like it's that. That's how I think. I'm
Right.
like, if you don't, you can have all the information in the world, but if you don't implement any of it, it's useless.
Definitely, it's not knowledge. It's only information.
Just information.
Right.
And I know a lot of people who are informed.
Yes. Yes. And they're aware, but they're not applying. So,
Hmm.
like I tell people all the time, like the word has to become flesh.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? And when it becomes that, then your body knows it more than your mind knows
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So, so just showing how your brain works for a lot of people because they're in their own head,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
starts in that garden right there, where you plant is going to grow.
Hmm.
So really breaking down the neuroscience of the mindset, how you will develop, how you can reinvent yourself
Hmm.
to what these tools are, even the vocabulary of thinking and thought.
Hmm.
What's the difference between thinking and thought,
Hmm.
and how powerful thinking and thought is,
Right.
right?
Right.
Especially for people who deal with anxiety, people who deal with depression. Like
Right.
it's an easy fix,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because you're creating the problem,
Hmm.
and when you
Hmm.
show them the how, like, damn, my anxiety is no, you're gonna feel anxiety sometimes. You're gonna feel sadness. You shouldn't go to the point of depression. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But you're gonna feel sadness. You're gonna because you're human beings, we're biological creatures. We're
Absolutely.
mental and emotional creatures. So
Absolutely.
the emotion is the connection,
Hmm.
right? And one thing we do, we attach ourselves to negative emotions.
Yes,
You
we
know,
do, and hold
so
on to
yeah,
them.
yeah. So don't get attached. Always stay connected, but don't be attached.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And just show you're alive. You feel pain, you feel hurt, indication you're alive.
Exactly.
It's a
Exactly.
lovely feeling.
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
know?
mean, just imagine not being able to feel those things,
Right.
having people dealing with people who are numb,
Yeah.
who don't know what it feels like to hurt or to grieve or to be sad or just to even remember, I think that's one of the things that, goes back to that how I know people who go numb and trying to get them to cry, feel sad, feel pain, kind of go back to something. A lot of people don't realize that's what you did. You shut down,
Yeah.
and dealing with the shutdown, and I watch people try to reinvent themselves after shutting down, which is where the insanity starts to kick in, because they're not even who they were
Yeah.
yesterday, for
Mm-hmm.
say. So with your how, I believe you're gonna help so many people, like, continuously, because now I totally understand what you do, which I'm gonna show you when we're off camera.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you some things you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, it's like I live in your head
Yeah.
somewhere. I got a little office, not nothing
Okay.
big. I
Okay.
ain't taking up that much real estate, but definitely to connect with our community, number
Mm-hmm.
one, but also those in our community, because right now, that are teaching the leaders in our
Yeah.
community, because I do believe that they need help as well,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like a lot of people want to help, want to be out here, want to be leadership, want to talk and be of
Yeah.
assistance,
Yeah.
but they don't have the
Tools.
emotional intelligence that
Mm-hmm.
they need. And I think we all need it.
Yeah.
We all need it. If I didn't have someone to guide me, if I didn't go to masjid and pray and read and study, I would be a nervous wreck, more than likely. I'm
Right.
100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
But with having the right tools in place, learning who you are, was always key. So you just said that's my magic
Mm-hmm.
stick right there. It's like, who the heck am I? And
Right.
I wrote a book about it.
Right.
Literally, it's called "Who Am I?"
Right.
Literally. So
Nice.
when you say that, it's like we have to identify with who we are
Yes.
first, and then we can help others. So this is my dream job for you, not me. I don't want to do
Okay.
it. No, but working with these agencies, these communities. I know you're out here already doing these things, but how can some of these people who are awarded the grants
Mm-hmm.
and things like that? Because I know I have a client coming up where I'm going to go out and
Mm-hmm.
do what I do in
Right.
their organization. How can they reach you to say, hey, I want to bring him in to
Right.
do this with our
Well, that's what I'm
organization?
doing now. Actually, with um, um, behavioral health.
Hmm.
I'm ready to do a training with them
Awesome.
next week. Um, I did the youth conference they had back in, I think it was January, February, sometime like that, and they invited me to speak and do a breakout room.
Nice.
And then one of the major senior supervisors was in my room with me, and she see me breaking it down. It's like, wow, we need all this. So
Absolutely.
she set it up for next week for
Okay.
us to go in there and share with their managers what they're doing.
Awesome.
I just talked to another one,
CBH.
no, is it CBH or CBS? It's another one,
Okay.
CBSA, something like that in South Philadelphia, the region where they deal with youth,
Okay. Got
adults,
you.
and the
Hmm.
curfews, but that they just merged all together, Dixon House and all them. So he was telling me yesterday, like, yeah, we need you to come in and do a presentation on emotional intelligence because
Absolutely.
a lot of people know that a lot of people doing this work is not healed doing this work. I mean, a lot of people get into the work because of their trauma,
Yeah. Yeah.
and heal people, not
Absolutely.
hurt people.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you definitely I want to get into teaching this human system curriculum to really break down the emotional intelligence in a
Yeah.
way
It will be
they can
helpful
understand
for
it.
those who are in this field.
Mm-hmm.
There's companies I had to get away from because
Mm-hmm.
it's like all these hurt people trying to help people,
Yeah,
and it's insane.
yeah.
So I think that's one of the big things. So if your organization out there and you're watching this by chance, definitely reach out. I'm gonna make sure I include all of his contact information on the video as well. But you're free to share whatever you want to share, because it's important that the agencies, us that actually provide this service, get out there and make sure that we're healed before we
Right,
go try to
right,
help people,
right.
because we can transfer that.
And even at the same time, having those pockets of peace and self care. Right, I explain to my team, my coaches, when I train, like you always got to have pockets of peace throughout the day, not take many of
Absolutely.
those pockets every day.
You're sitting on mine right
Right,
now.
yeah. Just feel comfortable too. So even before, like I said, my routine, have a create a morning routine.
Absolutely.
Before I get on live to hear people, talk about what they're dealing with,
Hmm.
I had to overflow my cup. All right,
Mm.
so rest is when I'm sleeping at night. Rest
Absolutely.
my brain to rejuvenate my mind first, my body, and then get up and give praises to the Most High. Thank Him, gratitude, make salat,
Hmm.
um, drink some watermelon water. I might make some watermelon water, pineapple water, drink that, H3O water, and my cells. Um, and then I might eat some, Brazilian nuts for my body too, digestive system, and all that.
Right.
Then I go outside and I ground my grass.
Mm.
Just stand in my grass and just walk back and forth in the grass, and I meditate for about a good minute, you
Okay.
know, and breathe, intentional breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then I'll go back down ready. I tell my team what I'm doing. Like, create a routine for yourself.
Right.
Fill your cup up. Let it overflow, and
Yes.
just give away the overflow.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the full part, that's when you're done. You're complete. You're finished,
Yes.
right? And that's
Yes.
for you for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So we got to teach people how to take care of themselves.
First.
Right.
First.
First. Right.
First. I love that. I think that's one of the things people, we jump into things for
Mm-hmm.
me, business people.
Yep.
They come in, they're like, I'm starting a business. I'm starting two businesses. And I'm like, slow down, slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get one off the ground. And I think that's one of the things, even as a, business owner, or you're inheriting a business, whatever it is, it's like, did you take care of your personal self first?
Right.
And I love your breakdown. That's super important. I had to transition into a serene environment myself, buying a house with some grass where I could
Mm-hmm.
just sit in the yard and just meditate and have
Yeah.
that moment. And then even my office environment, I don't probably need an office, but I want an office,
Yeah.
because this is helpful. And I think having that, like you said, investing in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
investing in makes what works for you,
Right.
because everybody don't we're not all the same. We're all going to have something different. People say, oh, you got an office, what you be doing? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I meditate in there. I
Yeah.
sit, I have a couch, I relax on it. Sometimes I just need to think,
Yeah.
and like you said, just kind of pour into
Well, see, you
yourself.
got to understand your house or your place of comfort is your think tank. That's your conscious.
Hmm.
Your conscious exists in this room. Your energy exists in
Oh,
this room.
absolutely.
So if you're in I'm out on the street where I'm at, I'm in a house a lot of time because that's my pocket of peace.
Yes.
I created
And
that the pocket of peace.
yeah, and you go into the
Right,
world. So
right.
yeah, yeah.
So after doing psychic therapy or doing one-on-one coaching with individuals, I
Hmm.
mean, I know I can go back home. I mean, I can relax in my house.
Right.
I can just be at peace myself. I can do some studying. I can do some meditation.
Hmm.
I can watch a TV show. And that's my comfort zone right there.
Right.
And then I'm able to elevate in that. If you go in one of my rooms like this, it's like paper all around the wall.
So like it is
This
in there.
yeah. This is my like,
Right.
this is my brain right here. I see
Right.
my curriculums, my programs, and
Right.
I do my Zoom classes and I show people my Zoom. Look at my room. That's
Hmm.
why you got to be intentional about learning. The more you see it, you download the information
Absolutely.
constantly every day. I
Hmm.
mean, so write it out, manifest what's inside of you.
Hmm.
And just breaking down. I mean, manifestation of thoughts and feelings, and what
Right.
that look like
Right.
through emotion.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
So we got through all the serious
yeah,
part.
yeah,
So
yeah.
before we go, what do you do for fun?
Well, like tonight, it's another pocket of peace. I skate.
Okay.
I
Okay.
will
All
skate.
right.
Yeah, I've been
Sweet.
doing it for years.
Oh yeah, I
So,
will not be hanging with him tonight. No.
so that's my therapy right there. And I kind of
Nice.
felt back off it too because it's changed. The, the youth is in there now. It's like
Right.
wild, crazy. So I go there every once in a while now.
Hmm.
But that's my pocket of peace right there. Anybody know me like, we'll go skate on Wednesday nights. We have
You
no,
put headphones in, or you just
no,
there? You
no.
just
That's the
go.
music they got.
Okay.
Music play good music. That's one. Going out, hiking, walking,
Okay. Okay.
meditation by the Schoolfield River like that. My pocket of peace, car therapy, also good.
Okay.
Sit in the car,
I like the walks. I can say I go to by the water. I don't know. I'm one with the water. I can really open up
yeah, because
there.
we are water. We
Yeah.
70% water,
Absolutely.
so
So
we automatically connect to. That's why it's so therapeutic
yes.
by the water.
Yes. Yes. Nice. And car therapy. What is car therapy?
Well, car therapy. I mean, especially if you got a house full of people, you need car therapy, right?
You know what? I
But
never thought about it like that.
but
Right.
still, I mean, I live with myself. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's my daughter and my son is over there.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have to sit in my car and just plug in the car.
Just
Just
so we
reflect.
all probably do that because I
Yeah.
think I sit there. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to hear a song or
Right,
something.
right.
Right. Right. Right.
Before you just jump out the car, I mean, just be just
Take a
chill.
minute,
Right.
wind down,
Take a
wind
minute.
down. I do that before I come in here, and it's no one in here, but I still do it. Right.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. So how can we find you? Social media, all that good stuff. Talk to the people.
Well, follow me on Instagram under Life Coach Will. I mean, I have a few Instagrams, but that's the main one I'm on. I have a few Facebook pages, but the main one I'm on is Latif, Will Latif Little. That's my Facebook page. LinkedIn, Will Latif Little. Gmail, Will Latif Little. Website, Will Latif Little. Everything is Will Latif Little.
Will Latif Little. I will make sure that is in the caption, y'all. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you again for being here on Respect the Hustle. We appreciate you. And now I'm gonna go get my counseling. So peace out, y'all.
Great stuff. Great interview. Great questions, sir. I like great questions.